Just as there are more notes within an octave than those 7 that make up the major scale, you have those plus the other 5 in between notes, there are additional intervals that play an important role in music. Here's what's called the 12-tone chromatic scale, which includes every semitone or half step or minor second interval equal to 1 fret within an octave starting on C. I'm going to play this down here in 5th position for you. Those notes are C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. Notice that there is no sharp between E and F or between B and C. It's just the way it is, folks. I didn't invent this system. That's the lopsided, asymmetrical nature of music. Okay, now coming down, C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C. So you notice I called some of the notes by different names. Like coming up, I called this C sharp. On the way down, I called it D flat. That's not a necessary rule. These are called enharmonic equivalents. It's just 2 different names for the same note. A lot of notes have 2 different names, you know. That's either A sharp or B flat. It all depends on the context, what key you're in, and it helps you keep track of what chords and what scales you're in, you know, by identifying it that way. Just as we did with the C major scale, I'm now going to play all of the 1-octave chromatic intervals starting on our root note, and I'm going to do it on pairs of strings so that you can hear the 2 notes played in succession melodically, but also let them ring together so that you can hear them harmonically. So here's C, C, perfect unison. That's minor second. C, D flat, C. Major second, C, D, C. Minor third, that's C, E flat, C. Major third, C, E, C. Perfect fourth, that's C, F, C. Augmented fourth, which is also known as the tritone because it's 3 whole tones away. That's 1 whole tone, 2 whole tones, 3 whole tones. And then we have the perfect fifth. And by the way, this tritone is also called the diminished fifth. So it's either the sharp or augmented fourth, F sharp, or think of it as G flat, it's the diminished or flat 5. But in either case, it's more universally and generically known as the tritone interval. And then we have the perfect fifth, C, G, C, and then a minor sixth would be C to A flat. Major sixth would be C, A. Minor or flat 7. That's a musician slang. It doesn't always necessarily have to be a flat note per se. That's a minor 7th. Major 7th, and then perfect octave. So again, it's and you can keep going. Ooh, that's a minor or flat 9th. And then a major 9th. Not quite as ugly, but still kind of jarring. And then this is called a sharp 9. Augmented 9th is a correct theoretical term. So if I'm calling it D sharp, now you may think, wow, that looks just like the minor 10th interval we saw earlier. But some of these intervals have aliases, like they're known by different names. And the reason you call that a sharp 9, for example, if you were to play this chord, C7 sharp 9, yeah, that's the Hendrix played way up here. That would be C, E, major third, B flat is your flatted 7th, and then D sharp is your sharp 9. Some people like to think of that as having a major third and a minor third together, but it makes more theoretical sense to think of it as a sharp 9. And then there's your major 10th. Now you can also call this augmented prime, okay? This is getting into like theoretical land here where it doesn't really matter in the real world what you call it. If you're thinking C, D flat, C, that's a minor second. If you're thinking C, C sharp, C, technically that's called an augmented prime. And same here. I introduced that as a minor third before because I said C, E flat, C. But if you're calling that C to D sharp, C, technically that's called an augmented second interval. And same thing here. Here's a perfect fifth, C to G. If we sharp, make it G sharp, that's called an augmented fifth or sharp 5. But we saw earlier that that note, if we call it A flat, it doesn't matter where I play it. That's a minor sixth interval, but it's also an augmented or sharp fifth. And then likewise, we looked at that as being, I said, the flatted minor seventh interval. But in some cases in music, and this has to do with when you get deeper into studying music theory, that's a major six, augmented sharp 6. And that's for you theory nerds. The term consonance means pleasing and stable, and the term dissonance means displeasing and unstable. Certain intervals are consonant, thirds, fourths, fifths, and octaves. Unisons and octaves, obviously, right? But thirds, fourths, and fifths are consonant intervals. Seconds and sevenths, be they major or minor, are dissonant intervals, as are their octave plus counterparts. It is the creative artistic application of consonance and dissonance, light and shade, beauty and ugliness, and that push and pull, that tension and release that it creates is what makes great music. If everything was all consonant intervals all the time, it'd sound too happy. And if it was all dissonant intervals, it would sound too ugly. I've heard some like avant-garde classical pieces or jazz pieces that are like really whoo, and it's all dissonance. It's like, to me, that's too much. And too much consonant, it's like too much sugar. It's like sickeningly sweet. So you want to combine consonant and dissonant intervals, and a lot of times you just do that by ear. Whatever sounds good is good. Another good way to look at your chromatic intervals would be to start on a higher note and then go down in successive half steps or semitones like this. So we have C, that's a perfect unison, and then that's a minor second, C, B. C to B flat is a major second. C to A is a minor third. C to A flat is a major third. C to G is a perfect fourth. C to G flat is a augmented fourth, also known as a tritone. And then if you call that note F sharp, then now it becomes a diminished fifth. Perfect fifth, C to F. Minor sixth, C to E. Major six, I'm going to move over to the G string here. That's C to E flat. And then a minor or flatted seventh, C to D. C to D flat is a major seventh. And then C to C is a perfect octave. We can keep going. A minor or flatted ninth, flat ninth. A major ninth, C to B flat. And then here's a sharp 9. Again, we looked at that. So you can do them either above the note or below the note. One very effective and relatively easy way to learn intervals on a guitar or bass is to do it off of an open string, because you're counting from 0 and you're just going to go. And it's easy to keep track of the number of frets because you're not adding, like before we were going, starting on the 3rd fret, so you had to add 3 to every one. So I'll use the open high E string to demonstrate. That'll be our root note. So if you go, that's a minor second, major second, minor third. You can also think of that as an augmented second. Major third, perfect fourth, augmented fourth, also known as a diminished fifth, also known as a tritone. Perfect fifth, minor sixth. You can also think of that as an augmented fifth. Here's a major sixth, a minor or flat 7, which can also be thought of as an augmented 6, and then major 7th, and then perfect octave. And one more word on that tritone. Interestingly, the tritone is the exact midpoint in the octave. So it's 3 whole tones above the E note. That's 1 whole tone, 2 whole tones, 3 whole tones. It's also 3 whole tones below the note. In fact, that's the whole tone scale. So it's midway between. Interestingly, when you invert a tritone interval, it remains a tritone. Remember I said major thirds become minor 6, minor thirds become major 6, perfect fifths become perfect fourths. If I were to play these notes, those are all tritones. E to B flat to E, E to B flat to E. It's still a tritone, no matter how you slice or dice it.